All right, the AP preseason poll has just been released. Oh boy, do we have some good reaction from it. This is going to be a really fun episode here, so appreciate you tuning in. We got a lot to talk about. Who is undervalued? Who is overvalued? Who's my pick to win the national title? Do we have any discrepancy or disagreement with Georgia being number one? Who is a team that right now I think is getting too much praise, not enough praise? We'll dive into it right here, right now. Why waste any more time? I want to start with the top five. That's, I think, where most people go first here. Top five, according to the AP preseason poll, Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Oregon 3, Texas 4, Alabama 5. I have no qualms, no disagreements with that top five whatsoever. I think Georgia, when you look at a preseason poll, I think that they deserve to be number one because of the track record they've had the last few years. They deserve the benefit of the doubt. They have a tremendous quarterback in Carson Beck coming back. Kirby Smart has not rebuilt. He's just reloaded every single year. So even though there are questions at receiver, they lose 4 to the top 5 receivers from last year. A few other changes as well. Like, they, to me, deserve the benefit of the doubt in being number one, and they have to get knocked off their perch in order for someone else to claim the top spot in the country. So I have no problem with them being number one. The team, though, I'll tell you to look out for is the Oregon Ducks. They are my pick to win the national title this year. I'm a big believer right now with what's going on in Eugene. I love the addition of Dylan Gabriel. They got out of the transfer portal, come from Oklahoma. He not only is a tremendous talent and is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football, period, also my pick to win the Heisman Trophy, but now his talent gets matched with the right scheme. Last year at Oklahoma, it was a little bit, they asked him to do a few things that he's not, let's say, fully comfortable in doing. But now you look at his pairing with offensive coordinator Will Stein at Oregon. They are now going to run, similar to that with Bo Nix, like a Drew Brees type of offense, where it's get the ball out fast. Get the ball to your playmakers, let them make plays. That's where, basically, a point guard at quarterback. That's where Dylan Gabriel is elite. That is his bread and butter. So now you add him into this offense that fits him perfectly, along with loaded elite talent at wide receiver. Tez Johnson, Evan Stewart. There is so much talent in that wide receiver room, along with their tight ends as well. You have an elite, experienced offensive line. I love Dan Lanning's aggressiveness and tenacity as a head coach. I add that all up. I think we are talking about the Oregon Ducks as your 2024 national champions. So when you look at the top five, it's always kind of fitting preseason-wise because most of the time you can find a team to win the national title that year in that top five, in that top seven. My pick this year, sitting at number 3, the Oregon Ducks. My money is on them. Yours should be too. All right, let's go here next. I love this stat. Brett McMurphy of the Action Network always puts it out every year, and I think it's a fun talking point and a fun thought exercise. So I want to do it here with you. 19 out of the last 20 years, there's been a team ranked inside of the preseason top 10 that has finished the year unranked. Last year was USC. I think we're going to see 2 teams this year fall victim to that stat and finish the year unranked after starting in the AP preseason top 10. Michigan and Florida State, both for similar reasons. Let me break down with the defending national champs and the Wolverines first here. They lost too much. Like, I get, you want to talk about, it's Michigan, they're the defending champs. You know, they hired from within with Sharon Moore's their head coach. They should be a top 10 team. Fine. But the Michigan team that we're looking at this year is a far cry from the one that won the national title last year and a far cry from the one that won the Big Ten the last 3 years. This is a totally new team, and I don't think they're ready to stay in the top 10 or even stay in the top 25. Look at what they lost from last year to this year. They lost their top quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. They lost their best running back in Blake Corum. They lost their best receiver in Roman Wilson. They lost all 5 offensive linemen that have been Joe Moore Award winners, that have been Joe Moore Award finalists, all 5 gone. They have lost 11 players from last year's team that were either All-Americans or All Big Ten. And you are replacing basically everyone on your coaching staff. I know Sharon Moore is, promoted from within. So you have some sort of continuity there, but you lose Jim Harbaugh, your head coach, a big piece of why they were able to win a national title. And you have a new offense coordinator, new defense coordinator, new special teams coordinator. That is a lot of change right now to expect Michigan to just keep the train moving from the last 3 years and pick up where they left off. Way too much. That's number one. Like, is Alex Orji, a quarterback, going to come in here and steady the ship? I don't think so whatsoever. He's an athletic guy. He's a runner, but not much of a passer. And I don't think that one-sidedness is going to lead to a productive Michigan offense. But you look at the changes. That's number one. And then the other thing is, look at their schedule. Look who they're playing. Texas comes to town week number 2. Oregon comes to town later on in the season. You're at Ohio State to end the year. Like, I don't think Michigan's winning any of those 3 games. And then you open up and look at their schedule beyond those 3 teams and 3 games, like USC, even though it's at the Big House, that's a losable game if you're Michigan. Illinois, I think, is a losable game. I think they're going to be improved this year under Brett Bielema. And Indiana, I mean, you talk about maybe having one of the biggest jumps from last year to this year in terms of win total and just competency under Kirk Cignetti now, first-year head coach for the Hoosiers. Like, that I don't think is a layup win for Michigan. So, like, I think we're looking at an 8-4 Michigan team this year. And if you're 8-4, even maybe 9-3, but no real impressive win, I don't think you're in the top 25. I think you're on the outside looking in. So you look at Michigan, everything they have lost, along with a schedule that is very, very tough. Even though some games are at home, still a very tough schedule that I just don't think they're ready for. I think Michigan, when it's all said and done, they start inside the top 10 and number 9. I think at the end of the year, they will be unranked in the final AP poll. I think the same can be said for Florida State for a lot of the same reasons. They, like the Wolverines, lost a lot of production from last year's team. You lose your quarterback in Jordan Travis. You lose your top running back. You lose your top 2 wide receivers. And I don't think the portal additions by Mike Norvell this past offseason are enough to make up for those losses. He was busy in the portal. I just don't think the talent is good enough. Like DJ Uiagalelei, to me, he is what he is. He's not an upgrade over Jordan Travis. He's very inconsistent. He needs everything around him to be better to elevate his play. He's not a guy that can come in and make the offense, make the receivers, make the running game better just because of his talent. He needs help, and I don't think he's going to get the help offensively to have Florida State light it up the way they did most of last year. And then again, similar to Michigan, you look at Florida State's schedule on top of what they lost, they play at SMU. Don't sleep on the Mustangs. That is a very tough game on the road, hostile environment for the Seminoles. That's absolutely a losable game. Clemson comes to town, so it's in Tallahassee. That's good, but I think right now Clemson's a better team than the Seminoles are. At Miami, tough game. Miami's a better team. At Notre Dame, tough environment. Notre Dame's a better team. So it's you play Notre Dame, they're better. Miami, they're better. Clemson, they're better. I think the Seminoles are better than SMU, but on the road, it's a tough game. Like, I think similar to Michigan, we're looking at an 8-4 Seminoles team that would be on the outside looking in of the top 25 when the year comes to an end. So it's happened now 19 out of the last 20 years. We have seen a team inside the preseason top 10 finish the year unranked. I think this year we'll see it happen to 2 teams. Michigan at number 9, Florida State at number 10. Let's get some positivity here. Let's go the other way around, because this is also a Brett McMurphy stat that I do love. And this will kind of talk about a team that is maybe not getting enough attention that they should. And that is that in the last 28 out of 30 years in the AP poll, there's been a team that started the year unranked that has finished the year inside the top 10. Mizzou last year was that team. This year, I think that team for me is the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Get them on your radar right now if you are unaware. If you're surprised to hear that, look it up. They have Dylan Raiola, big time wide receiver, quarterback recruit that will be the starting quarterback for the Cornhuskers this year. And you look at the receiver. You look at the second time I said receivers. I don't know why I got receiver on the brain today. But you look at the quarterback history for Nebraska. It's been pretty ugly the last 20, 25 years. Like, I could argue right now, Raiola is the best Nebraska quarterback since Eric Crouch. So having elevated quarterback play is going to make this team truly now a lot better than what they've been in the last few years. I think a big change, too, you'll see for Nebraska this year is an improved turnover battle win. They were minus 17 last year. That's awful. For the entire season, minus 17. They gave the ball away like Oprah gives out gifts for Christmas. It was troublesome. I don't think that trend will continue. Matt Rule has really talked a lot this offseason about improving that number, that metric specifically. So I do expect better ball security. That also will come with better quarterback play that Raiola does give. And you look to the other thing that's been the bugaboo now for a few years that continued last year under Matt Rule was Nebraska's propensity to lose close games. They were 1-5 last year in one-score games. I do expect that to change. I know it's been an issue with Scott Frost as well, and we can look at the numbers about how bad Nebraska has been in one-score games in the last few years. I do think, though, that is going to turn around. So you play better in these close games, you stop the turnover battle, and you get a better quarterback in there, even in year one as a freshman. I think Nebraska is going to be a double-digit win team. Look at their schedule. They have a very favorable schedule. They are going to win their first 7 games. They'll be a favorite in all 7. I think they'll win all 7. Now, the first real test they have is at Ohio State. Good luck. That's an L. But you look at the rest of the way, like at USC, tough game. At Iowa, very tough game as well. But Nebraska has talent where you should be able to split that game, or split those 2 games, beat Wisconsin at home. And we're talking about a 10-2 Nebraska team that is honestly fighting for a playoff berth. I don't think they're going to get in because I just don't think they'll have the wins and the resume that it's going to take to be one of the 12 teams to make the playoff. But when it comes to like breaking into the top 10 at the end of the year, I think Nebraska's right there. They can absolutely make a run to being one of those teams in the top 10 that start the year unranked. Nebraska, man, get them on your radar. If they are not already, it's going to be, I think, a different year in Lincoln than we have seen in the past few years. Last thing I want to get to here in terms of instant reaction to the AP poll, that was the preseason AP poll that was just released on Monday afternoon. I want to highlight one team that I think is severely undervalued by the pollsters, and I think will be made to look foolish very soon. That's the Miami Hurricanes. They come into the preseason poll ranked 19th. Tell me, even right now, 10 teams that are better than Miami when you have Cam Ward now coming to their team, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, period, going into this year, but also one of the best transfer quarterbacks, or one of the best quarterbacks, I should say, available in the transfer portal that Miami was able to get. Have him come down to Coral Gables. You had Cam Ward at quarterback, dynamic, best quarterback in the conference. You had Damian Martinez out of Oregon State, a running back. I would say the best, second best running back in the portal behind Quinshon Judkins, who went to Ohio State. Best running back in the conference. You have a very deep wide receiver room led by Xavier Estrepo, that 30-year-old that's still there. Feels like he's been there forever. Back again for his 10th year of eligibility. That is a deep wide receiver room that has a lot of talent in there as well. A really strong offensive line now under Mario Cristobal, year 3. The offensive line and defensive line are really coming together. So you're going to have toughness from Miami. You have elite skill talent at the 3 most important positions in offense: running back, quarterback, wide receiver. I mean, it is, I think, flat out disrespectful that we are talking about Miami right now being the 19th ranked team. I can't even, if we go through this, I couldn't tell you 9 or 10 teams right now that are better than Miami. They are legit. They are going to win the ACC. They are going to host, or not host, but they're going to have a first round bye in the upcoming College World Playoff. They are getting one of the 4 byes here to start the playoff. They are that good. They, I think, have a manageable schedule as well. They are legit. And so it's just, I'm flabbergasted. We're talking about Miami is the 19th ranked team in the country and the 3rd ranked ACC team. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Miami, right now, I'm telling you, if you want a little future play there, or maybe a team you want to highlight that's maybe not getting the love they should, Miami at 19, that's a team that's undervalued. So those are my big opinions, big thoughts from the preseason AP poll that's been revealed. I want to hear yours. Comment below on the video here, whether it's a team that's undervalued, overvalued, your national title pick. For me, it's Oregon. What is your biggest takeaway from the AP preseason poll? Love to hear your thoughts down below here on YouTube. If you're listening on podcast form, Hick at Night Podcast, Night spelled N-I-T. Appreciate you listening there. You can have your voice heard as well, either by tweeting me, Ryan_Hickey and the number 3 on Twitter, or by going to YouTube. Channel name is Ryan Hickey. Find the video, should be right there at the top, and comment below your thoughts as well.